And I'm going to play the national anthem. You will stand.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, good morning, everybody, and a very, very good day to all you Americans out there. The day reminiscing on when you left those that spoke English a little bit differently. So, congratulations on your Independence Day today. I love that particular version. It's a US Marine, and she was singing that. It's on YouTube. From Afghanistan, and we watched quite a few pictures of troops and the flag flying, and boy, it was a fantastic version, wasn't it? Oh shit, I'm on the wrong frequency. I'm going to try that again for those people out there. That's a shame. Sorry about that, streaming. You're going to have to listen to it twice.
Say, can you see
by
the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, good morning, everybody, and a very happy Independence Day for you cruisers from America, and especially good morning to the streaming people who got to hear that magnificent version twice, because I managed to play it on the wrong frequency the first time. So Maritime Radio will now know that it's Independence Day, but that is a magnificent version of it. It's a US Marine. She is, was at the time in Afghanistan, and it's a very quite emotional YouTube thing, because it's got pictures of the various troops and the flags going up and so on and so forth. But yep, a wonderful version, and we hope that you have a good day, all the American cruisers out there. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286, Patricia and David. And David, of course, well, he didn't stand up, but he did have his heart in the right place. All right, it's not a very nice day here, and it doesn't sound all that wonderful in Philander either. I've just got a report from Bonaire, northeast 18 with rain. Here it's north-northeast with rain, only 3 knots here. 18 degrees though. It's interesting. It's quite warm. 1020.1 and still plunging. So we will not be going outside today, and certainly it's not a very good day for anybody to be outside. Looking at the report, Balak has gone up in southeast, nothing hardly, 1015.5 on the bar and only 20%. So quite a big difference looking at the satellite picture. It's it's just covering that bottom Lao group, so the rest of Fiji doesn't look too bad. That looks quite nice. Yeah, it looks really nice.
Nice cloud.
Well, it's a bit of cloud, but nothing wet. There's a great splot, part of the trough to the east of Vanuatu. So, it's be interesting to hear what David has to say. I know the poor Minervans are anxious to leave, and I know there are people in New Zealand anxious to leave, but this northerly won't be doing you much good. All right, let's have a little bit of news this morning. 14 Russian sailors were killed in a fire in it sounds like a mini submarine, a research vessel. It's very confusing though. At first reports, it sounded like one of those big nuclear subs that goes down to about 1,000 meters. But boy, that wouldn't be very nice, would it, to be in a fire in a submarine? So it would probably be more. It's in Russian waters, and that's about all we know. The EU has finally decided on who should take the top positions, and the top job appears to be going to the German Defence Minister, Ursula von der Leyen. She's been chosen for the top job. Seems a pretty competent person, a close ally of Angela Merkel. Okay, China has landed bomber aircraft on one of their new disputed islands in the South China Sea. They are disputed by about 6 countries. I think the one with the greatest right to it is probably the Philippines. But anyway, none of those countries anyway near powerful enough to do anything about it. So they're going to certainly need help from America or wherever. Excuse me a minute. Still got our frogs and throats and not feeling all that great here. So it's needed a bit of a drink here. Sadly, New Zealand has pulled out of the Square Kilometre Array. This is the world's largest radio telescope, which has been set up in the deserts of Australia and South Africa, I think it is. This is sad news for the various scientists involved here. I know there's quite a few at the Auckland University and the University of Technology and various commercial outfits in New Zealand. When I went up to have a look at the big satellite dishes not too far from here, there was scientists talking, and it really is very sad news because, the people that have pulled the plug are a government outfit here who are responsible for business development and so on. Well, this is a pure science project. I mean, it's really, really hard at this stage to try and do a cost-benefit analysis on pure science. It's really fundamental science. How the universe was formed, the origin of cosmic magnetism, whether there's life on other planets. This huge telescope was going to be able to pick up very, very, very light broadcasts from many moons ago, but many light years ago. So anyway, that's the decision that has been made. Talking about Talking about science, there's been a boom in deep sea mining, which is a concern to Greenpeace. A UN body has issued 29 exploratory licenses for a vast area of the Atlantic, Pacific and Indian Ocean. They showed a picture actually, and it was from the deep sea area near the Cook Islands, and it showed manganese nodules. It looked sort of like tiles. They were bright blue. So there's probably going to be a little bit more commercial exploration. Thank you to David for my glass of water. Lee Iacocca has died. He was
Yeah.
94. Quite a famous man throughout the world from his way he developed the business. Of course, he helped create the Ford Mustang, which is probably what he will be best known for. And coincidentally, the Ford Mustangs are really having a resurgence, particularly in this area. There's an importer down south of us, and we see quite a few new Mustangs on the road. The other thing he did, of course, was save Chrysler in the 80s. So a very, very good businessman. He certainly reached a good age, didn't he? 94.
Good effort.
Good effort, yes. The Cricket World Cup. Now, I haven't mentioned that because I know a lot of people, especially those that are celebrating their independence today, left the world of cricket behind. But many of you will be interested, so let me scan through. The latest game was England versus New Zealand, and I would have to say we didn't perform very well. We were doing very well at the start of this competition, but England won this game by 119 runs, so that was a bit of a ho-hummer. Previous to that, India beat Bangladesh by 28 runs, Sri Lanka beat West Indies by 23 runs, England beat India by 31 runs. So England and India are in the semi-final, and Australia are in the other semi-final, but who knows who they will play. New Zealand can't do anything about it. It would be New Zealand or Pakistan. We need Bangladesh to beat Pakistan in their game tomorrow, or we'll be out. So there you have it. In the USA, the Democrats are still trying to get Mr. Trump's tax return. I haven't bothered detailing this, but it's on almost every day.
That's driving me nuts.
It's driving everybody nuts. The Treasury Secretary has refused to hand over the Democrat-controlled Ways and Means Committee demand. They are suing the administration in federal court. Honestly, you'd think they would have better things to do, wouldn't you? For the Italian cruises, Stromboli has acted up again, and in fact a hiker was killed by rocks and another injured in the latest volcano eruption. It looks absolutely spectacular because, of course, the sky is blue, and up it went. And the lava is coming down towards the village of Ginostra. Yes, we were there. It's a very active volcano, of course. It's called the Lighthouse of the Mediterranean for good reason. For those that don't know the area, it's just north of the islands are just north of Sicily. So a pretty spectacular eruption, that one. All right, now we have a few requests have come in, and the satellite picture is quite an interesting one. I forgot to tell you the other day, I think it's Guttigo, in Minerva, one of the boats there reported winds quite different to what had been forecast. And when we had a look at the satellite picture that afternoon, we saw just a little tiny low. There was all the major events that David has been talking about, but a little tiny low that had spun up and, of course, was causing different winds. So really, really interesting. This whole passage of disturbance has been quite interesting and frustrating, I might add, for many people. Those in Minerva trying to get north, those in New Zealand trying to get north, and anybody trying to just move around. But anyway, that's the tropics, or that's this area, the subtropics as well. So let's go to David now. I'll just have a quick look at the streaming reports. Octopus result, I don't know where that one is. Anyway, Eagle's Wings are online from Whangarei still. I don't think we have had people this late, because last year we were away at this time from having our mid-term break, as it were. This time it's August just as well, because there's still people waiting to go. Muscat Cove is calm, no cloud. 4 knots of northerly by the look of it at Octopus Resort. Where are we? Up at Opua, it's drizzling. And Vianney Bay, quite a lot of activities going on there by the sound of it. A cookout on the beach for celebrating Independence Day. And Lupan is over in Stockholm. Good morning to Ulla and Pele from Stockholm. I don't think we've had listeners from Stockholm before. All right. Oh, Scoot said they left on around June the 27th last year, so that's pretty close, isn't it? All right, here's David.
All right. Poor Patricia, she's struggling. This flu, by the way, that's going around here in New Zealand is it's virtually an epidemic, and it's hard to get rid of, that's for sure. Anyway, good morning, and with a handful of hopeful cruisers wanting to depart New Zealand, I'm afraid, as Patricia said, today is not going to do it. Looking at the synoptic picture, it's very much as we forecast yesterday. There are still three main players: the high to New Zealand's east, the high over Tasmania, and troughing activity in between over New Zealand. Two cold fronts, two of them, lie over New Zealand as I speak, with two very strong highs feeding the fronts with very different air masses. We've got warm, moist air clashing with cold, dry, and with that, the fireworks start. Hey, that's quite fitting, especially for the Americans as it's July 4th. Both highs have central pressures of over 1040 millibar, 1040, probably around 1042. So we'll have and do have two areas of steep gradient, pressure gradient, and very strong winds as a result. But there is a slack area in between, more or less up and down about 175 east. But don't be fooled on this, as cyclonic winds have formed due to the opposing flows. And Patricia had mentioned that little subtropical low that's spinning around. It's evident on satellite imagery. And that's skewing a lot of the model data because many of the models are just not picking up this little low that formed. So that's the importance of satellite imagery, quite frankly. And I almost forgot the departures from New Zealand today, near New Zealand. The folks that want to take off today, it's a no-go. Fronts, rain, northeast 25. That will be shifting to southwest 25, probably a little bit later on today, but it's rough out there. We've also got a swell coming in from the northeast. That's 3 meters, so everything's on the nose. Friday, southwest 20, and that will be turning southerly a little bit later in the day on Friday. To me, it looks like departure on Saturday is actually better than Friday due to the residual sea, and of course we'll have some showers on Friday. But if you're desperate, what could I say? Looking ahead, as of today anyhow, a passage to Fiji and Tonga does look okay. It looks like it's a window from New Zealand, but starting I think on Saturday. Now if you're going to Vanuatu or Newcastle, not so great later in the window, depending upon how long it takes you to get there, as the high, the big high is going to be moving to the east. That's going to be giving northeast winds to those two areas. And this is looking at about the 12th of July. So if that's your arrival date, that's what the winds look like they're going to be. So you need to get in before that. There should be plenty of time. This is only the 4th. If you can't get to Vanuatu or New Caledonia in that time period, you should quit rowing and turn on the engine. Now to the Minervans. Oh boy, the trough over Tonga has indeed done a bit of a retrograde. It's back over Minerva. We got our reports in this morning verifying that. It's over the Lau as well. Winds at Minerva today, I would say 25, maybe gusting 30, maybe even getting up to 35. We'll have to see. Most of the stronger winds have been around 30 based on the reports we've gotten. Expect a little bit lighter air on Friday. Northeasterlies now, 20, maybe gusting 25. So that's come down quite a bit on Friday. And Saturday, we might be looking at northerlies, 15 to 20. But this, I'm afraid, is a prelude to the New Zealand cold front that's approaching. And that should arrive, I'm thinking, on Monday. And that has southerlies behind it. So after that goes by, it's pretty much home free to Tonga or Fiji because you'll have south to southeast winds. There's a big but here, though. That front could slow down and it could dog you all the way to Fiji. Long range, looking at long range, shows a fair amount of convective activity over Vavau and Vanuatu on around the 10th of July. That's a Wednesday. It's a little too far out now to be certain. Now, the idea, everybody's getting pretty desperate there in Minerva too. I guess they're tired of lobster. The idea of leaving Saturday, well, it might work. Folks are talking about doing that. You'll have northeast winds in the beginning, and then as you continue, most of you are going to Fiji apparently. As you get closer to Fiji, they'll start to veer to the east-northeast, so getting a little bit of relief on the direction. Sunday, lighter air yet, east-northeast to east. So that may work. Leaving Saturday may work. We will look at it tomorrow. I'll make a point to do so and update you on that. It won't be the easiest thing, but on the other hand, not too bad either because the winds will hopefully have dropped by then. And a little bit of motor sailing at first, and then possibly actual sailing in a bit after that. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for you for sure. Okay, over to Tonga now, where our trough widens because it's still over Tonga, but it is affecting eastern Fiji as well. Tonga Met still has gale warnings up for the Hapais and Tongatapu, but a strong wind warning is still up for Vavau. The damaging swell advisory is still in effect as well. So anyhow, expect trough conditions for the group today. Wind-wise, well, we'll look at Vavau first. Expect east to southeast, 20 to 25, rising up to 30 at times. Rough seas, 3 to 4 meters out there, and that swell, that easterly swell, is about 4 meters. For the Hapais and Tongatapu, more wind, east to northeast, 25 to 30, and rising up to 35 to 40 at times, and rough seas, 3 to 4 meters. And of course, the easterly swell is the same, about 4 meters. Now, this is projected to ease a wee bit tomorrow, Friday. Now, for the Hapais and Tongatapu, at that point tomorrow, looking at east to northeast 20 to 25, so that's come down a little bit, and that may rise up to about 30 at times. But we really haven't heard of anyone that's in either of those areas, so which is good. I'm glad you took the idea of getting up to Vavau. Still rough seas down there, though, 3 meters, and the swell is still pretty high at 4 meters. So Saturday, for the whole group, I see easterlies, give or take, maybe about 15 to 20 knots, so things are coming down. The skies will be clearing, but still there'll be scattered cloud. Now, there is more troughing expected to the north. Long range shows it possibly dropping south over Tonga by Tuesday, and that I believe is the 9th of July. So we'll have to see if this really does happen, but keep an eye open for that. Early today, Vavau reports easterlies 13 knots at the airport, scattered cloud, barometer 1015, for those of you that want to check your barometer. Now on to Fiji. As mentioned, the Tongan trough has retrograded and is starting to affect Laos. So expect for the Laos cloudy periods with showers. We've already gotten reports of that. The cloud should spread to the rest of the group today and to tomorrow. Fiji Met is calling for east to southeast winds 15 to 20 today and tomorrow. Actually, I am seeing a little bit more east-northeast Friday than southeast, but that's what they're reporting. Now, the trough, by the way, extends all the way up to Wallis and Futuna, for those of you thinking of darting up there. Not going to be a good idea. The radar loop early this morning, shows scattered showers throughout the Koro Sea, all the way down to Kindavu. Spotty returns elsewhere, so not much rain forming yet. And of course, we do have showers in the Lao. Over to Vanuatu now. There is a trough starting at the Solomons, and it runs southeast down to Vanuatu. Now, satellite imagery, shows this quite clearly. The worst of the rain-bearing cloud, as Patricia had mentioned, covers Ambrym and Epi. A lot of very high cold cloud, I'm sure, causing quite a bit of rain in that area. But cloud to one degree or another covers the entire group. A lot of sun too, but it's a mix, broken to scattered. Winds mostly easterlies, 10 to 15, but just to the west of the group, skirting the group almost on the west, are southerlies. So there are the conditions for wind convergence. Southerlies banging into basically southeasterlies. Tomorrow, east-southeast to southeast, up and down, 15 to 20 knots. Now, the trough seems to be pushed to the west at that point. But the Fiji trough is going to continue west to lie over Vanuatu. And that's going to happen around Sunday, I think. We'll see how that goes. So again, two troughs. The first one's coming down from the Solomons. The second one I'm talking about is the one over Fiji now, continuing to move west. So a lot of activity up there, folks. Now over to New Caledonia. The frontal band over New Zealand does thrust itself toward New Cal and on to Queensland. Cloud is just touching New Caledonia, but no real effects from the front per se. But we still will have partly cloudy conditions due to the proximity of the front, plus that weak cyclonic disturbance that we talked about a minute ago that lies to the south of the outer reef in the southern lagoon. So today's wind in our area, it's really a mix due to all of this. Northerlies for the most part, very light, 10 knots or so, mixing it up with west to northwest, 5 to 10. Now tomorrow we should see a shift to the southeast throughout the southern lagoon. That'll be in the 10 knot range. Saturday, not so good Saturday. Southeast 25, gusting 30, 35, cloudy with showers and rain. So make sure that you find some shelter before this. There are some ELOs where you can get protection, but you need to know where they are. If you need help on that, we know them. We've been out there in those conditions. So anyway, that's about it for me. So we'll pass it back to the chief. If you have any questions or comments, come now.
Well, we've got some heavy rain here now. All right, and interesting note from Kapai there in Whalanga. He's again voting for ECMWF. It was accurate to the minute overnight. Thank you, Richie. It's funny, isn't it? Because the Minervans think that the GFS is the better for them. All right, I don't think there's too much else. It's interesting that a few people have come back. Valak said they didn't leave Marsden until the 16th of July last year. So there you have it. You don't have to be too worried about a late departure. Anybody else with anything, any requests for David, please call now. Nothing heard there. And just a note, it reminded me actually, somebody was in Port Sandwich on Exocet Strike. Diego has got some excellent pictures. I put some of them on the gallery on our website. These drones do an absolutely amazing job. The pictures are fantastic. And it really gives you a good appreciation of the area. So I've put those on the gallery. If anybody has got anything interesting to show us, then by all means send them. And the other thing I've got on, thanks to Archipela, is the rebuild of their rudder. It was quite interesting actually. Quite a competent guy in Savu helped with that. They managed to get it to them, and the rudder pictures are on the rebuild there. It's actually quite straightforward in a way, as long as you're pretty skilled. David has something.
No. Just, you know why they call Port Sandwich, don't you?
Oh.
Oh, well, that's where the Sharks, they had a, what do you call it?
Oh, that was years ago.
Well, I know, but that's how it got its name. All that, they cut up, what's it called? They cut up meats and all that sort of thing. Anyway, it attracted lots of sharks. And
the abattoir was
yeah, the abattoir, that's the word, right. So anybody swimming there. Well, that's why they call it Port Sandwich.
Oh, thank you very much for that addition. I'm not sure why I passed the microphone. Okay, is there anybody worth anything before we go back to our dismal day here? No, nothing heard. All right, folks. Big roundup tomorrow, of course, being a Friday, and we will be back again then at the same time, same place. And apologies to the streaming folks who managed to listen to the national anthem twice when I played it on the emergency frequency. Oh, never mind. We do have our days. The reason I was a bit late this morning and getting organised was I was reading about the Crown Prince of Dubai, the big boss. His wife has escaped to England. Now, this is not all that interesting, but once you get into it, she happens to be his sixth wife, number 6. He's got about 25 kids. She is his sixth wife, and she was the daughter of the King of Jordan. So she is actually quite well known because she was a Olympic rider, horse event type person, and she is quite accomplished in many ways. She was educated fully in the UK because King of Jordan was really into his kids being properly educated. So anyway, why she married the sixth as the sixth wife of this guy, God only knows. But anyway, she has escaped. She's not doing too bad because she's living in a £23 million place in Kensington Gardens, I believe. But anyway, I got delayed reading all this saga. Goodness gracious me. All right, folks, have a good day. Diego and Marina are still at Port Sandwich, so you can say hello to Dean on Exocet. Sorry, on Local Talent. I don't know why I keep calling Dean's boat Exocet Straight. Sorry, John. Anyway, I'm sure you're still happy down the bottom there. Right, Port Sandwich, Malakula, and you wouldn't be putting the drone up into the air because there's been a lot of rain. Okay, cheers, folks. We will leave you to it. The frequency's all yours. God, what a dreadful day.